Good afternoon, 360 Confidence Transform community. My name is Rita Mavunda, and I am one of the senior coaches with 360 Confidence Transform. 360 Confidence Transform is your premier agency to help you to build your confidence, build your self-esteem, and build your speaking abilities. Today, we are going to be talking about communication. What is communication? Why is it important? How does it benefit you? And the things that you can do to increase your communication. So there are things that are called soft skills and hard skills. Hard skills are those skills that you usually learn from training, from going to school, technical skills. So for instance, if you're a doctor, your hard skills are learned by going to medical school. If you're an accountant, a pharmacist, any of those types of things where you're going to learn a mechanic, learning how to do those types of skills, you have to actually have a course, you have to actually undergo those learnings. Those are considered hard skills. But what is more important than hard skills are soft skills. And soft skills are those skills that are necessary for you to be able to be an effective and an efficient person. However, soft skills are those skills that are a little bit unquantifiable. It's those elusive things, those things that we just talk about in a vacuum, but those soft skills are very important. So the top 10 soft skills that employers look for, and we are going to be talking about how we can cultivate our soft skills of communications within a employment arena. So we'll get back to that, but just to give you an idea of some of the other soft skills that are available, some of those soft skills are obviously communication, teamwork, creativity, adaptability, problem solving, work ethic, interpersonal skills, time management, leadership, and your attention to detail. So you see how all of those things, like an attention to detail, it's not like something that you go to school and you sit in a class and a teacher says, these are how you do attention to detail. No. However, through your course of working, through your course of going through school, as becoming an adult, engaging in different arenas and different areas, you have to learn how to pay attention to detail. So you see how these are soft skills that are kind of learned by doing, opposed to learning a hard skill, which is now going to school to learn. I hope that makes some sense. If it doesn't make any sense, definitely comment below, and I will, we can talk a little bit more about what that actually means. But so just to really give you a definition, so generally soft skills, I'm just going to read it from here, but it says soft skills are usually natural skills that usually cannot be taught in a classroom. They are character traits like being self-motivated, creative, or reliable that positively affect how you work and interact with others. Emotional intelligence and natural ability to interact with people, right? So these are those things where those guys who are really good at being able to read a room, those guys who are really able to read a person, look at those little subtle body languages, those weird little facial tics, those little things that maybe overall you don't pay attention to, but that person who is very keen and is able to see that, their social and emotional IQ is really high, and those people generally tend to have higher soft skills, okay? So we're going to be talking about communication, right? Communication. We hear about it all the time. It's always like, you should just communicate that. Why didn't you tell me that? Why didn't you say something? Speak, something. Communication. All right. And communication, it's different types of ways in which you communicate, right? You can communicate by writing. You can communicate by speaking. And then there's also the communication of your hand gestures, your facial, your body movement, all of those non-verbal cues, which also help to communicate your idea. So for instance, you would want to be able to have those communication skills when you are presenting, right? When you're speaking to other people, having mutual respect, when you're trying to speak with confidence, right? When you're a confident person, you're able to communicate those ideas, thoughts, and concerns in a way, right? And also being an active listener, right? Sometimes when we think about communication, we're always thinking that it just involves talking. But in fact, real communication involves talking, but more importantly, it's the listening, right? Are you being heard? Do you understand what is being said? When somebody is, like for instance, right now, how we're doing it. Obviously, it's a little bit one way because I'm kind of talking to you guys and you guys aren't coming back. However, I am communicating to you guys verbally and you guys are also communicating back because you're actively having to listen. Does that make sense? And these are soft skills that you learn throughout your working, throughout your experiences, being at home with your parents and all of that. Now, as I kind of mentioned a little bit before, it's your nonverbal communication. So, in fact, when you look at communication, 85% of communication is nonverbal. What does that mean? For instance, have you ever noticed, like if you're talking with your partner, right? And you know when your partner's lying to you. And you know that your partner's lying to you, not by what they're verbally saying to you, but it's by all of their gestures, right? Maybe they don't look at you directly in your face. Maybe they're like looking away when they're talking to you. Maybe they're stuttering when they're talking because they can't get it out properly. Maybe when you ask them a direct question, right? All those weird little, not weird, but like all of those little nonverbal cues, when you put it collectively, what's happened? You're getting a real communication and you're understanding what that other person says. Now, communication is also a very, very important skill that employers look for. I myself am an employer. We have employees, and for us in our business, communication is key. We are all over town, offices in one place, our warehouses are in another place. We have employees who are out in the field. We have employees who have different issues that they have to deal with. And if you don't communicate effectively, if you don't communicate where you are and what you're doing, how do you create a cohesive team? Right? You can't. If you don't communicate properly, how can you rely on your teammates? You can't, right? Think about like if you've ever played a sport, rugby, cricket, football, whatever that is, right? Everybody who's on the field, if you notice, they're always in line and always looking at what the other guy is doing, right? You don't see a midfielder just looking off to the other side while you have a striker on that other side, right? Like it just doesn't happen, right? You don't have in rugby where the guy, he has the ball and the guy who's a defensive lineman is looking the other way. No, they are all communicating with one another by interaction, verbal cues, right? You have your coaches screaming on the side, but everybody is actively involved because if they don't communicate effectively, they're not going to have an effective team. And in an employee setting and in a job setting and a workplace setting, key is cohesiveness, teamwork, team players, and everybody being on the same page. When you're able to communicate that with one another, now what you're also allowing for is for, team member A to do their work, team member B to do their work, and then they can now communicate. Now, if there's no teamwork, if people aren't on the same page, if people aren't communicating, what's going to happen? Maybe team member B has got to now go back to team member A's work and look it over. So think about the wasting of time. Think about the wasting of resources. Think about now how one team member is stuck doing two people's work when if they would have had a culture within your office or within your employment that really agreed, that understood the importance of communication, you wouldn't have those issues. And now because we're living in a day of everything is digitalized, phones, tablets, TV, communication is actually a lot easier than before. Right? Before, especially let's say if you were an introverted person, right? You wouldn't want to interact with other people. Maybe it's kind of, it's not your thing. You don't want to interact, so you don't say anything, you don't communicate. Well, this day and age with all of these different electronic equipment, you don't ever have to be in front of somebody. You can send a text message, you can send a voice note, you could send a DM, an email, you could do all types of things that actually foster and help and grow communication, right? So what are some of the things that you can do? Maybe it might be something that's hard for you. So what's certain things that you can do, right? So it's really important. Let's say, for instance, your employer gives you a task, right? And let's just say the task is pick up 10 apples. Fine, right? Now, communication is your employer has said to you, employee, I need you to take 10 apples. Employee hears, I have to get 10 apples. Now, let's say employee goes to the market and there's only 5 apples. You've got to be able to communicate beforehand to your team, your employer, your manager, your colleague, whatever, that those 10 apples you were expected to buy, you could not get them. There's only 5. Now, when you communicate this beforehand, right? So let's say you have the deadline. By the end of the week, you have to do the 10 apples. So let's say it's a Wednesday. You're being told by Friday you have to have the 10 apples. Thursday, you go to the market. There's only 5 apples, but your deadline is now Friday. Thursday, you communicate before Friday. Before Friday happens, I'm not going to be able to get the 10 apples. Now, what have you been able to do? You've been able to communicate with the team effectively. You now give your team the chance to be able to find a new alternative, to find a different way to proceed. You've also been able to convey to your boss that you're not going to be able to meet your deadline. Now, in an employee setting, in an employer setting, this is imperative. If you as an employee have been charged with having to do your duties and you're unable to perform it, you must communicate this beforehand. As I said to you guys before, there are entirely too many different gadgets and gizmos aplenty for us to be able to communicate effectively. Even if it's just one quick WhatsApp line to your boss, hey, I wasn't been able to do it, I'm gonna try it again tomorrow. It doesn't take any work from you. It doesn't mean that you're gonna be wrong. You cannot be punished because you've said it beforehand. Does that make sense? Does that make sense with how I'm saying it to you guys? That if you're able to understand the importance of communication from the very beginning, if you're unable to meet your demands, you communicate it beforehand. That way you can mitigate, you can reduce the issues that might come up. If now, let's say, instead of your Friday deadline, now you tell them on Saturday. What good does that do? Does it make sense? No, it doesn't. Let's say you're somebody who has a really hard time maintaining these types of things. You know, in our phones, in all of our different phones, we have the time, right? You can set alarms for yourself. So you set an alarm for yourself. I need to be here by this time. Let me get this done. Alarm set. When the alarm goes off, boom, you're gone. You don't even have to think about it, right? And that way, again, what you're doing is you're also showing that you're communicating properly to your employer, but you also respect the job and the work and what you're doing, okay? Let's say you're somebody where maybe you don't take a phone. For myself, let me show you. I usually always have a book. This is my year calendar book. If you're not in my book, you don't matter to me. Not my phone, but my book. Why? Because for me, this is how I'm able to manage myself. And it also allows for me to make sure that I communicate ahead of time if I'm unable to if I'm unable to reach my goal, or if I'm unable to give to my colleagues or whomever work that I've promised them, right? So I really want you to understand with this, we're just doing kind of like a little short thing about soft skills. As I said to you guys in the beginning, there are 10 main soft skills that all employers look for. If you can really master those 10 soft skills, you are going to be about 90% better than anybody in that office who hasn't even bothered to take the time to do that. When you also take the time to master these soft skills, you're also showing to your boss that you are a dependable employee. You're a dependable person, which means that you can also be held responsible for other things, okay? So I want you guys to really understand some of these things and how soft skills are really important. We have some classes within our 360 Confidence Transform where we can also help you with these skills. We have a personalized one-on-one coaching where, let's say these are some of the soft skills that we talked about are things you need help with, we can help you. We tailor make our programs directly to you so that you can make sure you get the best out of it. We also have speaking classes, which can also help, because now what happens is that we are in a small group. It's a small little group where you're safe to express yourself, and we can work effectively on you cultivating your soft skills. That's all I have for you guys today. I would really love it if you guys could subscribe to our channel, follow us, leave us any comments. If there's anything that I've said on this video that resonates with you, let me know. Let's say there's something else that you want to talk about, hit me up on the comments, hit me up on the DM. 360 Confidence Transform across all social media platforms. You can also call us at 0714-157-374. We really look forward to hearing from you. I hope you guys understood the importance of the soft skill of communication, and we will talk to you later. Thank you.